there an exact moment in your life when you can remember saying to yourself, that's it, I need to be a creative artist?
I couldn't say this. I wouldn't say it's that logical, because I didn't even know what I was doing. I was sort of making it up as I went along. I was a big fan of music from a very early age, and I liked books and I liked painting. So in retrospective, you don't know you're an arty little bollocks when you're 13, but I was. But I didn't know that. I was actually very quiet and introverted until I was around 15 or 16.
Yeah.
And my original thing was I was so in awe of music. I thought you needed some degree, almost like some university in space. I thought like people like I was a big David Bowie and Roxy Music fan first of all as a 12-year-old. I thought you had to have a degree in sort of Trinity College in Mars or something. Because one of the things growing up in Ireland in that era was you were never encouraged to go to do anything actually, other than become a priest or the civil servant, or if you're any good at sports, they'd like you. So I was a bit lost, and then when punk happened, which was '76, it more or less gave us these keys to the car and says you can form your own band. So I just did. I was full of anger and frustration and wanted to express myself, but I'd say I didn't know what I was doing. I was just making it up as I went along. So I was 17 when I formed the Virgin Prince. But was that a decision? I don't know. I didn't know how long I was going to be in it, and now fucking nearly 40 years later I'm sitting in here.
So you became an avid reader about 12, 13, did you? Who was the first author that blew your mind?
Oscar Wilde.
Right.
And I wasn't a really kid. I didn't really like this Enid Blyton or all that shite. I never ran with that. I used to like magazines, Sparky, Beano, all that. I'd like that. And then when I was 12, I went into secondary school, and we had to. Oscar Wilde was on the inter course. So my granddad worked in a library, and he got me the complete works of Oscar Wilde.
Wow.
And I started reading them. And the strange thing was the picture of Dorian Gray, which it was just around the time I was 12, I was reading that. And at the same time, I just got into Bowie and Ziggy Stardust. And both are based on a Faustian myth, sell your soul to the devil or sell your soul to rock and roll. So I was imagining that Oscar Wilde was David Bowie, was Dorian Gray, was Ziggy. It was all this.
Yeah.
So it was, and how insightful and genius his words were, Oscar Wilde, and also he was quite one for he would use the gift of the gab as his weapon. Where I came from quite a working class background and decided to look quite dramatic, quite young. So I was getting the shit kicked out of me. So the verb became my weapon.
Were you one of the guys that used to stand in Grafton Street on a Saturday in your tartan kilt and your docks and punk hairstyle?
I wouldn't stand, I'd walk up and down.
Right, but you were one of the guys on Saturday. Yeah.
But it wasn't, I mean, the Virgin Prunes were quite full on, visually.
When I say one of the guys, because I was a kid, and this blew my mind. You come up from the country from train and you see these guys in Grafton Street.
Yeah, we wore dresses, skirts,
because I'm convinced I saw you.
Yeah.
That was a while ago.
You wouldn't have forgot me.
No.
I was quite full on. But so was Googie. But it was like punk gave us, as I said, the keys to the car, but we were all big Bowie and glam rock fans. So the Virgin Prunes were almost like the bastard sons of Johnny Rotten and Ziggy Stardust. So we were taking on the anger and aggression of punk, but also the visual full-onness. And also there was a real identity in them days. There was punk rockers, there was mods, there was skinheads, there was hippies, there was all different sort of cultures actually, and philosophies, and which is a sad thing. You don't see much of that now.
No. Do you think everything is kind of a bit homogenized and samey?
I think it's easy to say that. I think the general mainstream has homogenized phenomenally. I think there's always going to be interesting little sub-cult groups everywhere. And I think everything being so as banal and boring as it has been for the last 15 years, there will be a revolution. I don't know if it's of true music, but youth just cannot put up with this shit anymore.
Yeah.
It's just too much. But there's too much going on nowadays. You know, with your little iPad you have there, you can go anywhere in the world. All we had was Radio Luxembourg, or Golden Discs, or Top of the Pops, or John Peel.
Yeah.
So I think it's easy just to diss the contemporariness. I think music has lost a lot of its sting. It's now a business more so.
Love the answer you gave. I was looking at an interview last night, and you were talking about music should not be a business, and you dislike that phrase.
Yeah, I do. I'm not a great businessman, but I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never. I don't understand. I mean, I got into I don't like football, which I got into music to get away from people that used to beat you up at the shops and like football and call you weirdo.
You got a hard time as a teenager because of the way you dressed and expressed yourself.
Yeah, and we were pretty forceful expression-wise. We were very angry. We frightened the shite out of most bands today.
Were you in many physical fights?
I'm not a good fighter. As I said, I would verbally defend myself, which is worse because then they'd get you the next day.
Really, right?
I was just battered.
Yeah.
Battered. But I became quite. I knew when and when not to. But with things like if you wore a dress or makeup, I would defy and wear it in Ballymun and get the bus, which isn't wise.
No.
Where other friends, you'd meet them in town, they were changing and getting ready in town.
Right, yeah, that
Well, I said,
real balls.
I said, you're a poser. You have to do it all the way. But my mates defended me.
Right.
I don't know what it is. Mentally, I can be very violent, as the Virgin Prunes proved, which I think why the Virgin Prunes were so extreme, because I wasn't actually a lad that way. So if you can't kick them, torture them.
Yeah.
Which I think.
Do you ever read Bukowski? No.
Yeah.
He had a similar situation because of the way he looked, but not through clothes. It was his face, his acne.
His acne, and which way he had that beard. But
he got the shit beaten out of him too when he was a kid, and that's how he defended himself, was with that and that.
Well, you'd get the head kicked out. You'd always pick a time when you'd see the little shithead with a load of girls. So you go, look, his Mickey's only that size. And like all the girls would start laughing. And fuck off, shut up, you thick. I'm telling you, how did he know? And then suddenly there's a war. But then the next day, little Mickey would fucking turn around with 10 big fucking heads and batter you again. But it's, it's sort of a bit of a jungle out there, so you find your own way of getting through it, I went from being very introverted to, as you can meet people that know me all my life, let's say how shy I was, to suddenly as angry and as loud as anything. So I don't know, when the testosterone kicked in, it was like 15 injections, and it was just
and
Terminator.
That manifested on stage mainly, did it?
Very much so, which was fantastic because then I didn't have to take heroin or fucking cut my wrists. I mean, I think that's the most beautiful thing about music, is that it's an expression. It's like the world according to me. And I take that philosophy very seriously. When I was a young fella and sitting in a box room in Ballymun, not getting on with my dad or having very few friends, you turn on the radio, you felt not alone if you were, whether it's with Roxy Music or with David Bowie. And then when it came to the earthiness of, say, punk, which was just basically this anger, and good anger, like anger as in when Johnny Lydon later said anger is an energy. Just people that were going, I don't want to do it that way. And this was in an era in the late 70s. I really believe that it was the our generation were the first to actually just go, oh, fuck off.
Yeah.
We're not running with the Catholic Church, or we're not running with the GA,
Yeah.
even though there's nothing wrong with GA
Yeah.
or Catholic Church on one level. But we didn't run with it.
Yeah, it was a very brave time to do it. Everything was bleak as hell at that time, wasn't it? 80s.
Very, and
Economically, politically, everywhere.
we were very poor.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going through a horrific recession the last 7 years now. But Jesus, I don't. At least there's central heating in your house.
True.
You know, it was just
Yeah,
fucking
yeah,
nothing.
yeah,
You were lucky
yeah,
the colour
yeah,
telly.
yeah.
It was really, really drab. But you know what? Something about, I think it was a big thing. It wasn't like, we weren't just about getting out of here. We just was, because we toured a lot, but we didn't leave the country completely. So we didn't run away. We stayed here.
Why do you think you have such a strong compulsion to create and perform?
I think identity. Who am I? What am I? Why? Insecurity. Ego. No ego. Anger. Love. Millions of things. I think when you're very young, it's usually ran by competition, and usually parental or something. I think there's a sort of a thing from my generation anyway. I know that, like, I grew up, my closest friends, we all had difficulties with our dads. So there was all that love-hate.
Just observing you over a number of decades, you seem like this incredible mix of huge ego and no ego. It's like you toy with the concept of ego. As in, on stage, is this like you take the piss of the concept of ego, but then in person and in reality you seem to be egoless. What's the story there?
I think it's probably Oscar Wilde, put on a mask. I mean, there's bravado. I'm a natural performer. Like, I love it. It's like breathe, and I fucking grow 10 foot taller. And I just love it, and I like making a live experience unique.
Yeah.
But I like building something up and then smashing it right down and questioning myself and debunking myself.
Yeah.
So it comes from megalomania and insecurity and all that shit. And I don't think there's anything like wrong with saying that, because in your head, when you make an album or do a show, you actually think it's the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah.
So but I do question things, and I take nothing for granted.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty like, well, if you don't like it, leave it. Goodbye.
Yeah. Very acceptant. Yeah.
Yeah, I won't sell my ass.
Yeah. And do you find the stage and performing very therapeutic or cathartic? As in that somewhere where I leave my ego?
It can be, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And can be very humiliating or humbling is the word as well.
Yeah.
That's just like a drug, I think. You get real hit out of it. It takes a lot to gig if you want to go for a show. Yeah. And when I say gig, I don't mean stand there in your bare feet with a guitar, and the poor me syndrome. I'm talking about owning the fucking stage, and whether there's 200 or 2,000 people in front of you, grabbing the guy at the back of that hall and pulling him into you, vibe-wise.
Absolutely.
So that takes a lot.
You seem to be a big fan of spontaneity. What's the most spontaneous thing you've done on stage in your career?
Wow, that's hard. I think it's an awful lot. I improvised a lot in the Virgin Prune days.
Right.
So there was a very, very wild freedom to improvisation. Very difficult to say that. And I would push it to a degree where we were ridiculously aesthetic about our spontaneity, that we wouldn't ever do a song more than 4 or 5 times. Certain songs we'd never play. If a song was really popular, we wouldn't play it. If a song was really, really popular and everyone says, God, you should record that, we wouldn't record it. So like we were shooting ourselves in the foot. But that was the sort of that was the sort of a teenage rampage, angst.
You were anti-populist pandering.
Yes, it was a bit of that. Like I wouldn't. We signed to an independent label because I thought all corporates was evil, and then rough trade fucked us over, and they were just as evil. I've grown up a little from then. I strive to. I always like a looseness in a show, so if something happens, you can actually go further. So I remember we did a tour where we programmed some drums, and it fucking drove me nuts.
Of course.
Because suddenly you're in the middle of, a chorus or something, and you want to extend it, or you want to stop and engage or improvise, and you can't. So it really put me off everything being programmed unless you have control. So I like to think that there's always been an element of spontaneity.
Is there any area of your life where you need some rigid control?
Yeah, my fucking personal life probably. I think everyone does as we're getting older,
Yeah.
I mean, I had loads of physical ailments the last couple of years, bad back and asthma and stuff, so you have to swim, Gavin.
Yeah.
You have to stop those cigarettes, Gavin. You have to do this, so...
You smoke now?
Do you know I'm 3 weeks off them last Sunday?
Well done. You don't look like a smoker, if you don't mind me saying.
Well, you know what? To tell the truth, I gave up smoking full on. About when the smoking ban came in, and I'd smoke when I go out in the lash.
Yeah.
Which would be like, I go out drinking 2 nights a week at the most.
Yeah.
One night in the lash, one night quiet. And the crazy thing, if you go in the lash, you could fucking smoke 20 in the night, but that stopped.
How many pints is the lash?
I'm shit with pints. I'd have 2 pints and then I'm a wimp.
Yeah.
But I can drink wine.
Right.
And I can drink, and I like my whiskey. So I don't like pubs.
Forgive my ignorance, but do you play an instrument? Have you ever tried to play an instrument?
Yeah, badly. Very badly. I've no really interest in playing an instrument, but I use it for main melodies, just a bit of piano.
Right.
I can't even, there's an element of dyslexia about me, and my coordination is pretty shit on certain things. So, and I have a sort of philosophy, I don't really like singers that hold guitars.
Yeah.
I just don't like it. Yeah.
It's something to hide behind, isn't it?
It is.
Visually.
Yeah, I'm not shy that way, so...
Musically speaking, can you tell your fans what you're up to at the moment?
Yeah, but I don't want to tell them everything.
Right.
But I'm working on. I'm nearly finished it actually. I hope to finish it by June, and it's an album I'm working on with a collaborator that I worked on a long time ago. And that's a secret. I want to keep it a secret, but it's a very different album. It's quite rhythmic actually, and quite electronic.
Is there live drumming on it?
There will be.
Mixture.
A mixture, and then I'm working on another album that's half baked, as half done, and that's with a guitarist, and it's guitar based, which I haven't done in a long time either. And that's with the son of the producer of my last album, Jolyon Vaughan Thomas is his name. And then I'm working on another project with another guy, and they're sort of acoustic songs.
You're flat out, you are.
Yeah, but like the electronic album is the one. And when I say electronic, I'd get electronic backer tracks and everything to work on them. We'd work on them. And I go, no, we have to bring in cello. We have to bring in so. Yeah. God knows how it'll end, but it's quite rhythmic and quite full on actually.
Who are you listening to at the moment musically?
The Gloaming, the last album I bought, and I love it. And that's the band, the Irish sort of they're traditional. Martin Hayes is in it, Earlo Leonard's in it. Some incredible musicians. It's just a beautiful album. Other than that, I'm just sick of buying fucking albums and getting disappointed with them.
Yeah.
There's so many albums that are just not complete enough, you know?
Yeah. What are you reading at the moment?
Weirdly enough, what I like reading is I like when I read. I've given up sort of reading for pleasure, and I don't know why, but where I get pleasure is like, say, a few years back, I got approached by the Royal Shakespearean Company to do something with them, with Gavin Bryars, and I basically was a narrator / actor, and I'd never really got into Shakespeare. I did it in school and felt totally compromised by it. Because when you're 16, how the fuck you know what's... You can pretend.
It's been rammed down your throat.
Yeah, and there's the sonnets. And then I remember like being asked for this, and I lived with a sonnet for about a couple of days, and then you're walking down to the dart station and you go, well, that's what he's at. And now you can aid yourself through computers, which is fantastic to get other things. And then I just got obsessed, so I started buying fucking all his works and studying it and learning. And I sort of do the same with sort of Brecht and Weil when I got into that in the 80s. And I just tend to sort of like pick a subject and stick with it. And at the moment, I'm really into the classical composer Benjamin Britten.
Yeah.
And just buying all his works and reading his biogs. And the weird thing is, like, that's sort of relaxing to me. Reading his biography, reading his synopsis, reading this, reading that. So it's like I'm just sort of going to school.
Right.
But I'm educating myself, but I'm enjoying it.
Right. Well, you started by saying you don't read for pleasure anymore. So is it more for study? It's intense study, is it?
Yeah, but I find it quite relaxing. It is study, yes.
Yeah.
I would never even... somebody would give me... I mean, the last normal book that was someone gave me The Road. Remember that?
Yes, Cormac McCarthy.
And he said, you got to read this, and I read it, and I liked it. You know,
but you weren't blown off the face of the earth by it.
No, I wasn't blown off the face of the earth by it.
Yeah.
And then I reread. Like, I'm a big lover of Joyce, and I recently got all of Ulysses on CD, done by RTE. Unbelievable recording, and I was now reread it, listening to this shit. Because Joyce is 3D, it's sound, it's not just that. So you understand it more. So it's probably comes from the fact that I never went to university. That I did the leaving and left.
Is there any aspect of that you regret?
I probably, in retrospective, would regret not going to art college or something like that. Yeah.
Do you think it did you any harm in your art?
No, the Virgin Prunes was art college. We just brought it. We built our own, NCAD, and we just brought it on the road. You can't regret it. That was the way it was. We didn't know. We didn't know, and I didn't know. I didn't know that after I ended the Virgin Prunes that I would spend a year working on painting with Googie and stuff. I didn't know that was going to happen.
When's the last time you painted?
I paint a lot.
Right.
I just don't exhibit.
Right.
So, I painted early January. It was about a week there. I was painting a good bit, and I will leave a painting up and add or take, and then bin it or hide it or finish it.
You're clearly very compulsive artistically. You just have to do this. Have to do something. Don't you?
Yeah. No, there's probably a little OCD or something in there. But so what?
Yeah.
Like I'm working on this album, and it's every 3 weeks. I go to London for a week.
Right.
And I tend to sort of go at like Monday to Friday, but I will work from 10 till 10 in the studio and go for the 5 days. But I like it like that because it's your full focus is that. And rather than this wanking around for hours and drum sounds and this and that, and then let's go out for a drink or let's do this. But you just fucking work. And you go with that drive, and then you come out and I have something in my pocket, and you go home. And then 3 weeks later, you'll have that lyric is not good. I love the melody, shy. That's brilliant. Let's go there. Let's that. So it's not easy to be around. But sorry.
It's all right. Painter, writer, performer, composer, MC, vocalist, actor. The list goes on and on. You're all of these things. Which one of them comes most naturally to you?
Actor. I don't know. I think the thing that came the most organically was probably performing and music as a performer. And the Virgin Prunes were very, very primal and very raw, very instinctive. And the only real musician in the band in the early days was Dick Evans. And Dick and me conjured up quite a landscape sonically, and then the performance side naturally filled in the gaps, and then we learned how to write and how to play, which is sort of normal for what happens, which is what's wrong with music now. It's like there's a rule book put there that you have to deliver X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the great singers don't even sing perfectly in tune. You know, John Lennon's pretty raw.
Yeah.
You know,
Just listen to the guitar and A Day in the Life, the acoustic guitar. That's mad out of tune.
yeah.
But it's lovely.
Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
And Shane MacGowan has done some songs that break your heart. And when you listen to Bowie in his early albums, he's quite angsty, and I go, that's a bit, you know, wouldn't auto-tune that now. They wouldn't allow it.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, we won't go on about that. But that's the way I like it. So so I think music and performance were the most instinctive. Yeah.
You're a fan of the imperfections.
Yeah, but then I'm sort of pretty much perfectionist in what's in my head. Or I think it's not believability.
Yeah.
You sort of, I've got better at like judging. Oh, that's up its arse. Like, do I believe that? Is that too arch? Unless I want it to be arch. Yeah. So.
Arch. Did you say arch?
Arch.
What do you mean by that?
Over dramatic, or like, you know, a little poncy.
Right.
Now, sometimes I deliberately want that to annoy people. Probably the most archest I ever was when there was in the 80s, when there was all that sort of water boys hippie revival, I call it. You know, I just fuck this. You know, I can't relate to the pint of Guinness, the spliff, and the fucking love beads. I mean, Ireland, get out of that. And it sort of hasn't got out of that loop.
Right.
It's sort of that sort of hippie gumbo Irish music thing. It's still there, and it's some amazing music, but it doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm getting at?
Yeah, I do indeed. By any standards, your career has been very diverse. Which one of your achievements are you most proud of?
Wow, that's a hard. I'm very proud of loads of things.
If you had to pick one.
I'm very proud of the Virgin Prunes. I'm very proud of some of the score and soundtrack stuff I did with Morris Caesar. I'm very proud of some of my own albums. I'm very proud of...
If there's one thing, if someone landed from Mars and said, Gavin, listen, let's see what you're about, show me one thing.
Oh, that's very hard.
It's very reductionist, sorry about that.
It is, no, it's good. The fact that I'm still alive is one achievement.
Yeah.
But musically, I mean, I'll be biased on one level. Sometimes I listen to a track on my last album, Catholic, and I'm very proud of that, called Lord I'm Coming. And that was, the lyric and melody were improvised, and I kept it pure, and we built up it musically, orchestrated it and worked around it musically. But I kept the spontaneity. I tried changing the lyrics and kept going back to the original improvisation, and I'm quite proud of that purity.
Was that a one take?
Yeah, the LV, the lead vocal.
Right.
That is harmony backing vocals, and I brought in Moya to do backing vocals with me, but it's one take.
Yeah, fantastic. What about the album cover? I'm mad about that album cover. Whose idea was that?
It's my idea.
Wow.
I didn't know what to put on the album cover. I didn't even know what to call it. And an album sort of tells you itself. Where I got the idea, I knew what I sort of wanted. I had this sort of... It goes far to say I was dead, but almost like I was coming from a dream or post-dead. Or I went to an exhibition here in Dublin called Politics and Passion, and it was in the Hugh Lane Gallery. And it was looking at the works of an artist called Lavery, John Lavery, who's well known for painting the lady on the old pound note, Lady Lavery. And he had all these paintings of what would have been if it wasn't for the 1916 Rising, or the British executed a load of our leaders, or the Civil War where we fucking executed our own fucking leaders. where basically the great brains of the country were destroyed. Hence, the Catholic Church basically ruled the country for the next 60 years. So, but I saw this painting of Michael Collins in state, lying in state, and something. It was the same week the IMF were in, and it just conjured up loads. And I was mulling over calling the album Catholic, and that's it.
Yeah,
it's just there, and it's a homage to that. But then the album isn't political in that sense, you know.
Yeah.
So, and there's something about the bravado of it too.
Yeah. It seemed to be quite an extension of your personality. I remember myself and my brother seeing the cover in the shop and go, "Wow, I fucking love that." It's hard to think of a more iconic Irish album sleeve.
No, it's just blows a lot out of the water.
Yeah. Have you got much favourable reaction to it?
Yeah, I thought I would be killed or slagged, and what was interesting is I remember a few shops, Tower and another shop, Celtic Note, I think, put big full windows of it, and people were actually. I was going, oh shit, the fucking country's in the fucking ditch. Economically, I'd be murdered here. I was getting congratulated. And it shows that, like, even though our economy was fucked, people still have this pride in being Irish.
True, yeah.
So, and I touched that because I wasn't sort of licking anyone's hole.
Yeah.
I was saying, yeah.
You went to a Christian Brothers school?
I did.
Did you encounter much bullying by the Christian Brothers?
Yeah. But, yeah, and I also encountered some great education. When the bullying, I was beginning to, the testosterone was kicking in, so I was well able to defend myself. Bullying over earrings and hair, you know, that type of shit, but never any physical abuse, yes, as in slapped with a strap and that, but never any sexual or that.
Yeah.
But I was quite, I barked back.
Yeah,
I was expelled and all that shit. But
without obviously going into it, was there any cases or incidences of sexual inappropriateness, shall we say, in your school from any of the teachers? Or?
Not that I noticed.
Yeah.
To be honest, there was bullying.
Yeah.
There was violence.
Yeah.
And there was grotesque sort of. Basically, you weren't allowed to express yourself at all.
Yeah.
But I never came across any incidents. But that isn't to say there wasn't. I mean, it wasn't all Christian Brothers. It was normal, straight. No ladies. Which I sort of disagree with. I think sort of all schools should be mixed. I think.
Big time, yeah. You come across as naturally gentle. Would that be an accurate description of you?
Naturally gentle. Yeah, I would say I would be. I don't know. That's very hard.
It appears to be one of your most obvious traits.
Well, I tend to like. I tend to go for the jugular, as in I go for sensitive subjects, and I talk about raw. Like you listen to the song "Lord, I'm Coming." It's sort of an area where I'm not afraid to show vulnerability or insecurity, which I think is a strength, by the way.
Absolutely, yeah.
So there would be. Yes, I wouldn't call me gentle.
You would.
If you stood on my toe, I wouldn't sit down and go.
Oh yeah.
Or turn the other cheek.
Yeah.
There's a.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a gentle boot boy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Would you see yourself as a bit of an art provocateur?
Yeah. You know, all those things on one level and then not. I don't like categories. It's the truth.
Of course.
And I don't like saying what I am and I ain't. I'm in this for the long haul. I'm not worried about. And people go, well. I remember like. When I realised that was like even Dave Fanning. I remember when I ended the Virgin Prunes, he says so. Virgin Prunes, like they had the number one indie hit with "If I Die I Die" in the indie charts, and this is when it was independent, not the word indie. I don't get the word indie when it was actually. And then Baby Turns Blue only got to number 2 for 6 weeks, but like you know, you didn't really sell. I've never actually gone out and said I want to sell. in my life.
Yeah.
And I swear, and even like we'd have very successful stuff on soundtracks, and Angel was included in a very, very successful album. It was not the plan.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, let's make Angel Part 2. No way.
Yeah.
You know?
So you wouldn't use those kind of things as a barometer for your success in inverted commas?
No. And it's different. It's been like, you ask me to judge some work. It's very difficult. Each Man Kills, I love as much as Shag Tobacco or Catholic or Adam and Eve, but they're all very different.
Yeah.
So I see it's a different zone I was in, a place I was in personally, mentally, what I was trying to do.
Aside from art and music, what else interests you?
People, obviously. Literature interests me. I like reading. Dogs. I love my dogs. Swimming.
Many dogs have you got?
I have 2 dogs.
What breed?
They're long-haired dachshunds. And they're the most spoiled little things on the south of the city, I'd say. No, art, painting, music, performance, film. They'd be me tops. It's what keeps me going. But like, other than that, one of the most beautiful things I can do is go for a swim or walk my dogs along the beach. It's just, you breathe, you listen there. A meal, some fine red wine with your best mates, and some music in the background, and conversation and argument. It's the best thing in the world. Be happy as pig and shite with that.
And finally, Gavin, how would you like to be remembered?
That's Gavin Friday.
That's simple.
That's it. He's Gavin Friday.
Gavin Friday, on behalf of Conversations with the Cream and the Festival and Gig Guide, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.